Hi and good morning, it's Dean from maverickstar Observatory. I may do a couple of videos today on the subject of CO2 and where we're merging into this latest technology with regards to electric vehicles, EVs. If you never saw the comments on yesterday's video, well worth going and look over some of those to get an idea of where we're really coming from if you're a little bit in the dark with what is best about these electric vehicles and how environmentally friendly they are. Because when it comes down to it, they're not environmentally friendly, they're not sustainable, and they are consuming a rare element on our planet, lithium, and it is really largely found in one place on our earth in abundance, and then once that's gone, it's gone, and there isn't enough for us all to drive electric cars based on lithium cell technology or battery technology. So bear that in mind. The other aspect is it's all driven about the man-made CO2 climate, and we've pulled their pants down so many times on this, and I would encourage any scientist to stand up against me in a podcast and discuss the pros and cons about this in an unbiased manner, so that everybody can understand the truth about these electric vehicles and what they're doing. Right now over here in the UK, and I'm sure it's going to become the case worldwide, there is, believe it or not, a CO2 shortage. Can you believe that? We are actually struggling at the meat packing plants to secure enough CO2 for that process to continue, and at the same time they're telling us that there's too much CO2 in the atmosphere, and as a result of that we're causing the world to heat up. What I want to say to you guys is we are in the depths of this information war, and they've realised quite clearly and very intelligently that they don't have to go to wars to countries. It's probably one of the reasons why they pulled out of Afghanistan, is because they've realised with CO2 alone they can drain as much money out of the taxpayers' pockets globally as they wish, and they don't have to kill anyone or justify wars to do so. They can just simply rely on the fact that CO2 is such a big problem, as they will push and push more in the future. And if you haven't noticed the uptick in talking about global climate now with these world leaders, that has increased over the recent days, especially with the summit that's just took place in Europe, where every world leader has gone on about the crisis of climate change and failed even once to mention the grand solar minimum and the magnetic pole reversal. And that should be alarming to you guys, really alarming, because over the last 30 years there has been a direct correlation with climate change. It just so happens to be that in the last 30 years the magnetic North Pole has migrated double or even 3 times the distance it did in the previous 90 years to that, going back to the 1900s. Not one single mention of the truth, and that is where we stay today. That's the path that we're on, and we have to fight back. And as much as they want to regurgitate lies, we have to regurgitate the truth. And that is why one of the common themes that is going to be appearing from time to time in our topic that we talk about and discuss on YouTube, and I think we need to do a little bit more on the website with regards to CO2 than we have done. I mean, I've done a dedicated page to climate change showing that the CO2 levels continue to rise, but temperatures globally do not. And here's another thing, is really the checkmate or the guilty verdict. If they admit that there is an increase in flooding around the world, then they have no choice whatsoever but to admit that what caused that precipitation was a change in temperature, in that it went cooler. And if we're getting more floods, and it's going to be a result of more cooler temperatures. And if they admit that, then their CO2 lies goes completely out the window, and the global warming along with it. Because in fact, if we're getting more floods, and we know we certainly are, they're on the increase, they've admitted it. If we're getting more floods, global cooling is more along the lines of the truth than anything else, and that should not come as a surprise to any member of the public or any climate scientist, because when you look at where we are on the glacial charts and cycles, you will see that we are about to walk through another glacial period, and that means global cooling. You know, they've got it so wrong, and the lies are so big that they would put Pinocchio to shames. Do you know how much these things cost to build, these wind turbines? Do you know how much they actually return back in energy when you deduct the cost of the manufacturing of them, and then the output of electricity that they actually supply, and then you add in the maintenance, and then you add in the fact that some days they're just useless because there's just not enough wind to drive the turbine around, and you know, you come to the conclusion, how is this beneficial? It's just the same as solar panels. They have the same problems. You know, if there's low solar radiance or overcast, or you know, we're in a point in over the northern hemisphere a little bit more than, you know, some central countries closer to the equatorial region, you counter into the fact that, and you know, you wonder why, you know, they even did it in the beginning. Well, the only people that can be actually making money is the manufacturers of these things, and you'll find that these are lobbyists and friends of government officials. This is the most useless form, in my view, of producing energy we've ever come up with, and that runs second in line with solar panel energy production. And as we know from what the British government have been saying, that they're going to have to again put up the energy costs in this country. Well, what they've said is simply this: you know, we've had a moderate year for wind, and you know, therefore they've just not produced as much as what they should have, and therefore the electric is, you know, the energy costs have got to go up as a result of that. Well, there might even be not factoring in the fact that, you know, I am starting to see, and you must be the same here if you're in the UK or in, you know, the States or Canada or Australia or New Zealand, you or the rest of Europe, you must be noticing more of these electric cars on the road and how much they consume electricity. And getting back to the comments that were made in the yesterday's upload, you know, they're just not efficient. I actually know someone that's got one of these electric cars. He's had nothing but problems. He tried to go to the Isle of Wight, and he was struggling to get the car to charge up in 4 hours. In fact, he got it charged enough to get across on the ferry back to the UK, and then, you know, he was going to struggle it back home. But what people don't think is, as tests have been shown, they do them in, usually if they're for electric vehicles and promoting them, they do them in perfect conditions. Put that electric vehicle in conditions of winter environment, where we have like 3 months of cold weather. First of all, any battery will suffer in colder climates. For a start, the performance will drop, and then when you add in the fact you've got to put the headlights on because it's getting darker earlier nights, you've got to put the heaters on. So, you know, what I'm saying is all this is a demand on that battery to start with, and you're going to reduce the range of your vehicle. And as someone pointed out yesterday, it is a fortune to charge these cars up by public chargers, and when you work it out, it is cheaper to use your combustion engine to do so. But let's look at one of the reasons why they produced the electric vehicle in the start. It was to reduce emissions. And as I said yesterday, you know, I don't have a problem with reducing emissions in built up areas, because there are a lot of other chemicals that are coming out of your car, like sulfates and stuff like that, and it would benefit people that suffer with asthmas and things like that. So why not, you know, like I said, focus more on hybrids, where, you know, if you're in built up areas, you know, even have the car switch over automatically by sensing that it's in that area, and therefore it needs to switch over to electric, you know, instead of combustion. You know, you could do that. We've got the technology to do that, but to switch it over completely to electric is not going to do the environment any benefits. And I'm not just talking I am my hat here. You know, I've got a qualification in environmental, arena, so I'm qualified to talk about this, which is going to piss them off even more, because I'm a qualified scientist and I'm talking about something that I'm qualified to talk about. That really pisses them off, because usually when people talk about these issues, they're very clued up on them, but they're not qualified, and they'll always be drawn to that fact. But they can't with people like me, because if they turn around to me and say, what qualifies you to talk about this, then I can just show them my academic transcript and that will be enough for them. It will shut them up. You know, but this is the world we're living in, and we are definitely at war with people that are telling lies in order just to skim the cream off the taxpayer's purse. So, you know, I'm putting a warning out on this video that, you know, we really need to start spreading the word about the way we are merging into the future, because it doesn't just affect us short term, it affects our children, and there are other more important issues that we are about to face, possibly short term, than global warming caused by man-made CO2. It's just a load of lies, and I can see that people are getting brainwashed with it, because now on mainstream media, more than anything, on a regular basis, they've even dedicated time slots to talk about this on the weekends so that they capture the audience. There is a big drive right now for pushing this scam, and it's nothing short of a scam. And we've heard already that people that are climate deniers with relationship to, you know, CO2 and man-made CO2 causing global warming are going to be chased down and chased out. Well, I have no intentions of going anywhere soon. You know, I'm going to put up the fight, you know, for, you know, what I believe is the truth. You know, if you want to help join me, you know, please do. You know, we need to spread the word. As much as they spread the lies, we need to spread the truth. And eventually people will come round to the reality of this fact. All those people driving around in them electric cars now are just simply stupid people that didn't do any research, just relied on word of mouth. And tell me something now, is there any facts when somebody just merely tells you? Are you not even inquisitive enough to do a little bit of research before you hand over your hard-earned money on one of these EVs? Use a bit of due diligence, do a bit of research. I'm sure it won't take long for you to decide that they're not environmentally friendly when they're being built, that they're raping the earth of very important elements which are used in chemical industries for far better use than just batteries. You know, we need to look at other avenues and areas of producing electricity, and if it comes down to it, you know, and we have no alternative choice, then, you know, we have to build more hydro dams. I know that this can have an impact on the environment, and we have to build more nuclear power stations. I know that this can have an impact on the environment, but what other alternative do we have right now that we can switch over to? If you really want to help the environment, then the only way to do it, and it's going to teach you a really harsh lesson, this is become self-sufficient with energy. And like I say, it's going to teach you a lesson, because what you're going to inevitably find is what everybody else does that goes off grid, is that you simply have to use a lot less electricity. Buying electric cars is not the way forward. Building more wind turbines is not the way forward, and building more solar fields is not the way forward, and using more land just to grow canes and other products that produce ethanol is definitely not the way forward, especially when we are almost in a food crisis globally. We have to come up with more solutions, and these people need to understand that what they're peddling at the moment is nothing but lies, and they need to cut the corruption out and do the right thing. But the problem is that everyone wants to jump into bed and have those millions of pounds, and everyone wants to lock the closet in order to get that. There is an obvious greed problem with human beings at the moment, and they are prepared to sacrifice, you know, this beautiful world, the rare world in which we live on. And that is sad. It's so sad. You know, we've got a lot of intelligent people that are walking away from science right now because they're just shaking their head thinking, I just can't believe all what is going on. I just can't believe what the governments are saying about climate and what is the cause of that. But like I said, they're not stupid. They realise that there's an endless supply of resources and monies that can be thrown at this, and therefore there's no need for wars to be fought. They can just rely on this alone. Climate change, drum it into our children. You know, that's like we have people like Greta Thunberg, you know, almost in tears with the bullshit that she's been fed, and they love it because, you know, they put that straight on the mainstream media because it supports their cause to steal and con more money out of people. This is really sad times that we're living in, and as a result, what we're seeing is behaviour that was similarly noticed just before the Second World War, and that is the, you know, the shutting down of the freedom of information. You know, I was talking about the two-tier system, not just with HSBC, you know, laundering money for cartels and getting away with it, but this is also something that we're seeing on mainstream media now, where the other side of the coin of the two-tier system doesn't get a voice, but the other side does, can say pretty much what they want and get away with blue murder. It's the times that we're in. You know, there is a war going on. Absolutely, there is an information war going on, and we need to do our little bit. We can't just turn a blind eye because we're almost pushed back into the corner right now. If you're like me, you know, you're living on the breadline, and you know, I'm just sick and tired of trimming back my expenditure, you know, just to keep a roof over your head. I know that there's a lot of people out there that are in the same boat. But you know what, when are we going to cross the mark? When are we going to step over that line and say enough's enough? You know, I think we have to find, each of us, what we can do to fight for the cause. Do the right thing. For me, it's just, you know, bringing facts to people like I do on this channel, and also, you know, running the observatory so that people get their truth from an alternative source other than the mainstream media. There's no reason for us to tell lies to people here. There is absolutely, we are not being funded by any mainstream organisation. We're funded solely by you, the general public. And it's not funded that well, I will say that. You know, it'd be great if a few more people realised, you know, the struggle that we're trying to, what we're up against here. We're up against mainstream media, mainstream government, international governments, and all them other organisations. And, you know, we're just, you know, a tiny speck of light in a lot of darkness. You know, we need more people behind us, supporting us, what we do at the observatory, and spreading the word. You have to do what you physically can in this time to change what's going. We need a change of course, of direction, because if we continue down here, we're going to screw it all up. I can't believe the investment in time and money that is being sunk into CO2 right now, at a time where it is largely unrecognised that the Earth is going through a magnetic reversal. Less than 1% of the world's population are aware of that. Yet the majority of the world's population are aware of climate change for the wrong reason. That's the battle. That's what we're standing and watching. That's the scale of the battle. Guys, I might make another video because I feel I've got to put my, you know, 2 pence worth in here to try and combat the lies that people are watching every day and throughout the day, and now dedicated breakfast, you know, slots for shows that talk about their agenda with regards to climate. There's a link down there if you want to help support what we do here at the observatory, and I really hope that that's something that you feel is a worthy cause. There's not worse things you can do with money, and a lot of the time, you know, we have money took off us, and without our permission, it is spent on this bullshit. So I'm just hoping that, you know, at least you have the choice with your money if you want to support an observatory. There's a lot worse things you could do with your money. Guys, have an amazing day, and until the next time. I'll say what I usually do. Bye for now.